Well, Governor Rick Snyder and others are standing by State Treasurer Andy Dillon despite his mounting domestic problems. Guys, can Dillon do his really hard job and also manage what appears to be an all-out war with his ex-wife?
Boy, I don't know. I mean, I think this is a tough situation. I mean, it's a personal matter, right?
Become very public.
Nobody's divorce, and you think about the things that go on between two people when you're dissolving a marriage. It gets ugly. It gets bitter. People say things that you know they wouldn't have said before, maybe aren't true. You don't want to see that play out in public, and you sure don't want to see that affect somebody with as important a public job as Andy Dillon. I think, though, you do have to start asking how attentive he can be to his work while this goes on. I mean, maybe he ought to take a break, sort this out, and come back a little later.
And Craig, we were hearing a lot from Andy Dillon for a while. He was sort of the point man on this Detroit takeover. And lately, we've hardly seen Andy Dillon. I mean, we've seen less of him than Charles Pugh.
Well, but I think a lot of that is because Kevin Orr has sort of taken over that role. Now that you have, the emergency manager in place, then the treasurer's role, I think, sort of shrinks to a little bit to the background anyway. So I think there was going to be less sight of Andy Dillon while this is going on anyway. But the fact that we didn't really see him addressing the Pontiac situation, the fact that Pontiac came out from underneath an emergency manager, that's big news, you know?
And it's a big victory for the administration.
Exactly. It shows a lot of people that maybe had their doubts about it, that maybe some good can come of the emergency manager situation. Yeah, he could have been out there in front.
Well, earlier this week, the National Security Agency declassified 3 secret U.S. court opinions showing how it collected thousands of emails and other communications by Americans with no connection to terrorism. And despite earlier assurances, we now find out the privacy of thousands of individuals was indeed breached. Are you worried about Big Brother?
Less than I was before we knew that this was going on. I mean, that's one of the good things about this is that we now actually have a better sense as to the types of things that they're doing. It's going to be a lot harder for them to do this in the future.
Yeah, but Steve, I mean, they first said, oh, nobody's privacy was breached. We didn't, we just gathered numbers. We didn't listen to. Now we find out accidentally thousands of Americans did have their privacy breached. How angry should we be about this, and what should the response be?
Well, I mean, I think we had a conversation with Carl Evan about this this week, and he pointed out a couple things. One is that this idea that phone calls are private. I think we're a little too obsessive about that. They aren't private. The phone company keeps all these records anyway. They know who you're calling. They know how long you've been on the phone, and they keep all of that information. Now, when that transfers to government, then you're talking about something different. And in this case, you are talking about accidental listens in on people's phone calls. The question is, how quickly did they respond once it was found out that it was done, and how do you try to prevent it in the future?
But given what we've seen at the IRS, where you've seen what people thought was their private information abused, misused, apparently, what safeguards are there to prevent the government from misusing this information once they have access to it?
I think you got to have Congress to start to act and put some reins on the regulatory agencies that do this.
Spell out in the law exactly what you are allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do. Don't leave it up to the NSA to interpret it.
Okay. Time now, guys, for headlines. Well, this week we have some lawmakers. Oh, you better wait. Well, this week you got some state lawmakers saying that Michigan could probably go to an 80-mile-an-hour speed limit on its roads. And I just wonder if they've ever driven these roads. You can barely go 65 on these roads without losing your teeth. And, is this a good idea?
Well, I mean, let's just get rid of the speed limit. If it's going to be 80, that means people are going to drive 90 and before the cops pull you over. Let's just say, well, drive as fast as you want.
I love the idea of getting to Mackinac in 3 hours. That's not bad at all.
But I think they should enforce the minimum speed limit. You don't want to be coming up 80 on somebody talking 50 who can't, or driving 50 can't talk on their cell phone and match the accelerator at the same time. What do you got, Steve?
A list of the best Detroit Pistons ever came out this week, and number one on the list is not Dave Bing. It is Isaiah Thomas.
No kidding.
I think this is a slight on the mayor.
I don't know.
Poor mayor's been
Isaiah
having
won
a
2
buzz.
championships.
The mayor is the prototype for Isaiah Thomas. There's no Isaiah Thomas without a Dave Bing. He revolutionized the point guard position.
The mayor's been having a rough stretch.
There you go. My headline, Kerry Bentivolio has been sort of quiet in Congress so far until this week when he said it would be a dream come true to be able to impeach President Obama. Unless, but the only problem is there's no evidence to suggest that it should be done.
Just
These
run
town hall
impeachment
meetings,
hearings.
These town hall meetings are getting Congress people in trouble.
Now, come on, Craig. We know we've been in the parking lot at DET and we've seen all those in Corollas with the curled up impeach Bush stickers on them. You guys got no room.
Those are citizens, not Congress people.
You got no room to
That's right. It's just
point
people.
fingers. So, okay, guys, that's all the time we have this week for MiWeek. Remember, check out MiWeek.org and catch up on shows or share these shows with your buddies on Facebook and Twitter. For all of us at Detroit Public TV, I'm Nolan Finley. Thanks for watching. Come back and see us next Friday for more MiWeek.